It's an awesome Saturday, and apologies for starting the show a bit late. It was due to our technical error from our side. But anyway, we said, okay, let's proceed, even if we start the show late, so that we give our viewers nothing but the best in terms of sports. This is Off the Pitch, the show that comes your way every Saturday. That's at 9:30 hours. I'm your host, Amos, aka Amory, and I'm not alone on set. I'm joined by two gentlemen. One, Augustine, who is seated on my far left. Augustine, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Amos. It's always a pleasure to be here. We turn all the glory and honor to the Most High God. Been missing in action for a couple of weeks. Was out there looking for transfer news to bring to the show, and here we are.
Yeah, the ones who are complicating the transfer windows. Augustine.
It's very interesting. If you look at the Zambian transfer window, African transfer window, European transfer window, it's very crazy out there. There are a lot of moves that will be taking place, especially during the coming weeks, because now teams are expected to go back to preseason, and will bring the news as it comes to the viewers.
One more. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, good morning, and good morning, Augustine, and of course not forgetting our beautiful viewers out there. Yeah, it's always, I think, a pleasure to be here and geared, and of course are looking forward to an interesting show. The fact that I think a lot has happened this past week. And I think we saw the Copa Queens were in action, and not forgetting the COSAFA team as well. So we'll probably be talking about that. So we urge our listeners to stay glued and just not search that down.
And an awesome night we had yesterday night, where we saw the shepolopolo managing to beat the Germans by 3-2. And it's funny that social media is full of, no, the referee. They say Zambians don't have a chill. But then I will just take a very short break as we'll get back and take a look at the game that was played yesterday night, and not forgetting the COSAFA game that was played and which is going to be played. So for now, we'll just take that short break.
My name is Christopher Adam. Continue watching Off the Pitch on Camnet TV.
Every Monday to Thursday afternoon, join us for the Lunchtime Cafe. We get to bring to you emerging stories making the headlines, media news, and we remind you of what political leaders and governance actors said back in the days. In forgotten stories, we emphasize to you the importance of eating healthy foods and leading healthy lifestyles on the Nutrition Corner. Get the latest updates in sports and critical interviews. Because we value your contribution to national matters, we accord you an opportunity to share your perspectives during the viewers' reactions. The Camnet TV Lunchtime Cafe is an all-inclusive buffet. Camnet TV, not just another channel. Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those who have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Hey, join me, Amazing Katamanda, on the weekly gospel show for those exciting and interesting interviews with your favorite gospel music.
Hold on to me when it's too dark to see.
And this time around, we are bringing to you entertainment news and the countdown, as you guys are able to nominate your top 3 favorite music videos of the week. Remember, it's every Saturday at 10:45. You can also catch repeats every Monday at 10 hours. Camnet TV is not just another time. It's time! Camnet TV brings to you an exciting kids show called My Creation. Join me, Sarah Chandamanga, as I get to interact with kids with special skills and talents between the age range of 9 to 17. This show will come to you every Saturday at 13:30 on Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Ingatamwishiwe pekani tulipushe bwana fia sasa ushe umwana nanyina inganaba butuluka uwinge wo munankwatira sambe nani mwe ipusha ina shenya bo mwikere nabo.
I'm Given Singuruma. Continue watching Off the Pitch on Camnet TV every Saturday.
Welcome back. You're still watching Off the Pitch here on Camnet TV, not just another channel. We've made a little tactical change. We brought in the most attacking midfielder, Mr. Robson Zikomi, in place of a defensive Amos. Mr. Skombe, welcome back to the show.
Well, this substitute is a very, very critical one, and you can clearly tell how Moses Chone responded to the flames of Malawi when he saw a very undependable and the most experienced player in the local league in Aaron Kadebe being substituted immediately at halftime. It's exactly what has happened to one Amos, aka Amore.
Tactical change. We want to attack now. We want to bring in some Skombe magic in the game.
Of course, let's quickly look at, I think first things first, let's look at the latest game that we watched last night, Augustine, where our ladies, the Copper Queens, did the country proud, because clearly very few people expected that kind of result. When you look at facing the experience of the Germans, who are ranked second in the world in terms of women's football. The game ended 3-2. Your comments, your views, and probably I'll take you step by step. Let's look at the defensive aspect of the team. How prepared are we for the World Cup? When you look at how the strikers are scoring goals and defensively, we are conceding.
Yeah. So I think if we look at we've played about 8 friendlies from the time that we started preparing for this World Cup. We went to Colombia at some point, then Korea, and this European tour. If you look at the friendlies that we've played, we've only managed to keep 1 clean sheet, which was at Woodland Stadium against Tanzania. Yeah. So that is a worrying point, because we cannot keep our back door closed. So even yesterday, as we were leading by 2-0, on the back of my mind it was, let's not bother this in the last 9 minutes, and we almost did that. So basically, our defensive shape together, I think we just do not have the right balance as a team in terms of out of possession, because most of the games that we've had, we've used Rachel Kundananji, Grace Chanda, and Barbara Banda up top. And what does that mean? It leaves a lot of spaces, especially when we lose the ball. We do not have enough bodies behind the ball. And what I saw yesterday in the first half, Germans were through the kitchen sink at us, but we defended very well. I think those were the positives we can pick going into the World Cup. Our defensive shape in the first half was very, very good. We had the right balance. All our defenders remained in their slots. They did very well. They screened. I think Susan, you must say, I think she's brought in a lot of experience in that midfield. Screening in front of the back four, she's been very, very good, and we were very, very compact. We were mentally, we were up for the challenge. We were very organized. That is a positive we must take going into the World Cup, because Germany are not an underdog. This is a country which is ranked second in the world. They have got a lot of players from Werder Bremen who are doing very well in terms of European football, and the captain
has played a couple of games for the country.
Exactly, I think she's one of the few players in that German squad that have played the World Cup. I think should be a 4th World Cup, if I'm not mistaken. So you've seen this is a team with a lot of experience. So what do we do as the Copper Queens? When we lose the ball, we have to be very, very compact. We need to try and drop off because we do not have what it takes to play a very high line. We need to drop off, be a little bit deeper. It is very, very difficult for teams to play behind us because whenever they try to play behind us, the goalkeeper will come and collect. And I must make mention Catherine Musonda's performance was brilliant.
I was coming to that.
Well, very, very brilliant. I think she was criticized at some point with her performance at the national team, but yesterday she stood her own, she organized the defense very well, and you could see Agnes Musesa and Busho Mwemba, there's that understanding, and Martha and Belemo. I think we looked very well. I think the positive we must take is that we beat a very, very big team.
More defensively in the second half, when you look at how we succumbed to the pressure of the last few minutes of the game, I could see those pockets in the back four towards the end of the game, and I was actually very, very worried, and it wasn't surprising that they scored in the 90th minute and probably went on to equalize in the 90 plus 10 minutes because of the complacency of the defense. Probably they were looking at time and thinking that everything is done and dusted. But the Germans, as usual, their machines were well oiled to go beyond 90 minutes.
Yeah, I think it was quite an exciting and entertaining game that we watched yesterday. There is, I think, a tremendous improvement in terms of the team's performance in the friendly games that we have played, especially in yesterday's game. Like my colleague here has alluded to, I think we saw some good football. The team complemented each other very well. Where someone makes a mistake, the other player will come in and just try to help in one or two ways. I think we defended very well. The first half was very good. But I think where I saw probably that's a spot is when Martha Tembo was injured, and I think the coach made some changes, and I think from there the German exploited the left wing, and I think that's where the weakness was after the substitution of Martha Tembo. But overall, I think the goalkeeper had a very good game yesterday. She was very confident, though I think I can probably, yes, in as much as we won, there are some positives and probably some negatives that we need to point at. The first goal that we considered, I think from there you expect the goalkeeper probably, because that is her area, and I think it gives her, I think, the height advantage because she can use the hands to punch the ball, as in compared to the players, players who can just use their head probably to hit the ball. Yeah. So I expected her probably to come out of her line just to go and punch the ball, because when you look at the height, you compare.
Who come to the Flames of Malawi. Aaron Katele's same explanation that is being taken.
Yeah, so you look at, I think, the height with players for the German, and of course our very own. Yeah. We were, I think, second in terms of that aspect. So that's where now your goalkeeper will be instrumental. Yeah. With such aerial balls, your goalkeeper needs to be very, very alert. But I think that was because even the two goals that we considered, they were all coming from the aerial balls, set pieces. So I think from there, I think that's the one area that probably we need to work on. The goalkeeper need to be very much alert. But overall, the performance, I think, was good, and the fact that we saw Barbara Banda and of course Rachel Kundananji trying to combine very well, because when you look at all the three goals that we scored, Barbara Banda was involved. The first goal, she's the one who scored it. The second goal, it came from her to probably Ochumba. Ochumba tried to shoot, it was a blockade. Then now Kundananji was there probably just to make sure that the ball goes behind the back of the net. And of course, the third goal, that was just splendid. And I think the last time I was here, I mentioned about probably ending and of course going into the tournament on a high. And I think that is what we did. You can now imagine the confidence that these players will have going into the tournament compared to Germany. If you looked at their faces, I think after the final whistle, they were down, like they looked like a team probably that has lost the tournament, like they have lost the final in terms of Germany. But for our very own girls, I think they celebrated because they know they sent a message to our opponents. They know now that facing Zambia won't be an easy task, so they need to up their games. Otherwise, it was a brilliant game.
Augustine, let's not take away what happened. Barbara Banda's personal brilliance on the third goal cannot go uncommented.
Yeah, I think one thing you get from Barbara Banda, she's something who is willing to run. She chases almost everything which is in front of her, and the desire to go for that. But I think Mr. Scombe, we talked about the game after 90 minutes. Probably the legs are gone by then. That's what you get. But Barbara Banda can still fight until the very end. That shows that this is a player who has got the heart, the desire, and very much gifted. And that finish, I think we see that every weekend in the Zambian Super League, they balloon it. We see that. That was a very brilliant finish. I think Barbara Banda, I think thumbs up to Barbara. If you could see, she's probably the difference between Zambia winning the Africa Cup of Nations and losing to South Africa in the semi-final. You could see that. If we had Barbara Banda in that semi-final when we were playing South Africa, probably we would have gone on and won that entire tournament, because truth be told, Zambia were the best team at the Africa Cup of Nations.
Absolutely.
You could see that with the brilliant play. Even the young players like Ivan Katong were coming through and giving very, very good performances to the team. And yesterday, I think one player who I need to give credit was Ochumba Oseke. She's been one player who has been. She's been one player who has been.
You should be mentioning
from a team in Charleston. She's one player who has always been criticized for not getting the goals for the team, but you could see her overall play. What does she bring to the team?
You know, Augustine, talking about that very thing, probably Ochumba not getting the goals. I think Ochumba is, I can probably compare him to the Vegos kind of player. You know, she is that player who will hold on to the ball and create probably scoring opportunities for other players. So that is the kind of a player that she is. There are some players who probably won't be scoring every now and then, but then their work rate, I think, on the field of play, I think was it
2018 World Cup? I think that's a very, very
good
example.
The coach gave one answer. Yes. You don't know what I see in Olivier Giroud.
That's the problem.
You guys are looking for goals. He's creating opportunities for the rest of the team to be winning games.
Yes.
That, like we say in football, it's not everyone who will be a penalty taker. When a penalty there is a penalty, there's only one player who will step up and score the penalty. Just like in a team setup, everyone has got a different role. Ochumba Oseke, I think she's one player who will calm down the tempo of the game. She plays to her own terms. She will not be pushed by anyone, by the opponent. She will play to her own terms. She will hold the ball very well, and she's probably the glue between the midfield and the attack. She's always the player who is going to go into those little pockets and make things happen. I think credit must be given to Ochumba, her work rate, her physical presence. She's going to engage in those physical battles. More talked about the physicality of the Germans, and you could see Ochumba was up there fighting with the Germans. So it's something It's something that you might need into the tournament. If you look at Spain are a technical gifted team.
Absolutely.
They wouldn't want a physical battle. So if you throw in Ochumba in there, she's going to harass them.
To frustrate them. Yeah, frustrate them.
You look at Japan, same applies. They're a team that will not engage into a physical battle. Yes. So when you throw Ochumba in that game, you will see the difference. So I think we just need to give credit to I think even to Coach Bruce is someone who has been under pressure. People say he's not tactical, he's not there, but I think he's one of probably the best female coach we've ever had.
And another player I think who impressed was Avel Chitundu.
Short, young, enterprising Avel Chitundu was a marvel to watch last night, and probably getting into that World Cup. Zambia is on a high, and we expect that 77th rank that Zambia is ranked amongst the women's football, that it will surely improve as we get into the World Cup. And hopefully, the biggest game of the group, I would like to watch that kind of performance last night against Spain, because we've got our very own Kundananji who plies her trade in
second top scorer
in the women's league in Spain, actually, and she will be facing most of the players that play local football in Spain at that particular World Cup, and we can only wish our girls all the best. And Coach Bruce Mwape, thanks and thumbs up for making that big change in goal, just to give all the goalkeepers that confidence as you go into a big tournament, because anything can happen to Hazel, because she's been playing literally all the games, and that change gave our very own Catherine that confidence to get into the World Cup on a high. And on the other side, Augustine, let's shift our focus to what is happening in South Africa. Zambia versus Malawi, and we had a couple of big heads on the bench failing to read that game, and I have no regards with the terms I'm going to use. They literally failed to read that game correctly. the starting 11 was very, very questionable. If you ask me, it was an issue of each coach should probably place 2 or 3 from his own club. And we could see that probably, correct me if I'm wrong, viewers, the starting 11 probably consisted of all the technical members of the bench from the coaching staff, and we could see how uncoordinated the team was right in the first half. Probably we conceded that goal and the team went on not to concede more. But clearly, if you ask me, that defensive pair of Aaron Katebe and is it Kylian from Cabo Warriors, I would actually, if you ask me, Augustine, before
we always watch games at Hero Stadium. Have you ever watched a player named Frederick Mwimanzi?
From Napsa Stars?
Yes, he was supposed to be the one playing at the center of defense. If we watch the same league, he was supposed to be the one.
Frederick Mwimanzi has been exceptionally sensational for Napsa Stars.
I would even think
even Chilibamoma exactly had even this guy from Musa, the Sydney. It's very disappointing.
It's a thing of Fidabanda Mchwemba to say Bamkorenga Bafula. That is what happens. You know, we have got, I think, like you mentioned, maybe Mamba wants to put in his own, this one also wants to put in his own, this one also wants to put in. So at the end of the day, there is no one probably who wants to take, there is no one who is going to be above. I'll take you, let me give you this scenario. Let's probably go to England. You have got maybe Eric Ten Hag, you've got Unai Emery, you've got Arteta, you also probably bring in Guardiola, and then say, okay, we are going to put maybe Eric Ten Hag as the head coach, then you are going to have this one as, it's just not going to work at the end of the day. It's going to be a mess. Yeah, I think that is exactly what we seem to be happening at the national team, the one that is at
I think for me, interestingly, if we're going to talk about the COSAFA team, probably let's start by looking at the selection. I think I've been on record to say, what is Benedict Chepesh doing at COSAFA? What is Kelvin Mwanga doing at COSAFA?
Those are players.
Exactly. What is Rollins Chungu doing at
Maybe Lawrence, yeah. Maybe Lawrence you can understand. But Kelvin Mwanga Kampamba.
No, he should not be there.
I think why I wouldn't have Rollins on that team, because he's going to be on the plane to Ivory Coast. That's a fact. We are going to have Rollins on the plane to Ivory Coast. We are going to have Benedict Chepesh on that plane. Kelvin Kapumbu, Kelvin Kapamba Mwanga. Why do we have these players in this team? I think we need to try and change what this COSAFA tournament is all about. Look at South Africa. They have got players from the national division who are playing this COSAFA. Apart from, is it Erasmus, who is probably a big player.
Too experienced.
Exactly. So you could see this is a developmental tournament. If you are not going to try, I think I was impressed to see Patson Koitana, even if he failed. I think even if he failed, it's good that now we've known that Patson Koitana probably cannot handle the pressure of playing at the high level.
But probably given more game time, this is a player who has shown potential.
Yeah, probably will settle.
Yeah, talking about that very thing, I don't know if maybe just our coaches don't know how to probably
develop our discussion. Let me lead this discussion in this manner.
Yeah.
Let's begin by talking about the defense before we look at the player selection. Let's focus on what actually happened on that match day and how we need to improve in the next match, probably as we face Seychelles.
So I think
defensively we had Aaron Katebe, we had John Chimba playing on the left side of the pitch. Benedict Chepesh was on the right. Kylian Kanguruma was playing centre back with Aaron Katebe. Yeah. How did we perform in terms of coordination when you look at the back four in front of Lawrence? Before we look at the midfield,
I think if you look at the back four, probably I've never seen a game in a COSAFA where our back four is very much exposed like I saw against Malawi. I think the Zanako young lad, is it Kawanango, I think did damage to us. He was always looking to run at our defenders. And what was Kelvin Kapumbu doing in front of them? His screening was very poor on that day. He was not covering enough ground, because what Malawi did was that they would let us have the ball, and then when you get into their final third, when they win back that possession, they were very, very good in transition. They were very, very quick. They are looking to play the ball in behind, because we played a very, very high line, and we are playing a very high line with defenders that do not have the pace in Aaron Katebe and Kylian Kanguruma. They wouldn't cover a lot of ground when the Malawians are attacking us in behind. I think that's an area which the coaches will need to look at, because first and foremost, probably it would have been Aaron Katebe and Dominic Chanda. at the heart of defense. But Dominic Chan has got some transfer issue that is involved in, and he's not part of the team. They have excused him to leave South Africa to deal with his.
His coach replaced him with Killian.
Yeah, so probably he has moved now to try and deal with his transfer issue. But when they brought in the young Matthews Chawala from Changa Rangers, that's when we looked a little bit stable. But still, we could not deal with crosses that were coming into our box. We could not deal with the Malawians running at us. Exactly the pace. We couldn't deal with that. We couldn't cope. I think that was the most disappointing performance I've ever seen. Defensive wise, attacking wise, there was nothing in there. Moses Ichono was a former centre back. He knows well how to position the boys. I think he didn't do the coaching properly. He didn't tell them what
it's an issue. It's an issue, like Mo said, when there are too many heads, probably.
But he's the top. He needs to try and show us that he's the one who is next to Avram Grant, and he's the one who is giving the right advice to Avram Grant. Even tactically, as the game was progressing, he wouldn't make tactical change the game.
Well, he was quite inferior, if you ask me, because in the first half, probably I would have taken off Kwaitane and Aaron Katebe very early in that game, because we saw he scored an own goal. He made a couple of yes, that back pass which went into a corner.
How is that the back pass? Isn't that an effort on target?
No, probably Aaron. He was just having a bad day at the office, and we can only hope that he improves in the next game. And as a coach, probably I wouldn't even hesitate to start him again. Let's look at the defensive midfield of Kelvin Kapumbu. The entire midfield. When you look at how Kelvin Kapumbu played against Ivory Coast at Lake Mwanawasa Stadium and what he did against Malawi, very, very parallel performance if you ask me. He was on a high against Ivory Coast yesterday. I mean, the other day's game, he was neither here nor there, and it was quite disappointing if you ask me. He left the two defenders that already naturally on the day had a bad day at the office well exposed, and we could see those attacks. That problem ended up going to Benedict Chepesi's wing, because they started attacking on the left side of the pitch where Benedict Chepesi was, and we could see Killian trying to come and cover Benedict, and his covering was pathetic if you ask me. He went and played the rugby move on one player, and he got a yellow card for it. Let's look at the midfield and how they expose and what we expect the changes to be in a game against Seychelles.
Yeah, I think the midfield was, like you mentioned, exposed. And I can safely say Malawi enjoyed the midfield. They really tried to conjure up something which, at the end of the day, I think gave the defenders a lot of pressure. But I think going into probably the second and the third match, probably I hope the coaches were probably taking note of what the mistakes and of course what needs to be done in the next game, because like you mentioned, I think Kelvin Kapumbu, we saw I think him put up a very, very spirited fight when the senior national team played against Ivory Coast. We were expecting probably him to replicate the same kind of performance to the COSAFA, and even actually better, because when you look at the level of competition here, I think you can safely say the game against Ivory Coast was a more high pressure game compared to the one we played against Malawi here. But I think something that I noticed was that Malawi were more confident on the ball.
More disciplined.
Yeah, more confident and actually tactically disciplined on the ball compared to Zambia, you know. Because at some point we were pressing a panic button where it wasn't even necessary. You could see some misplaced passes here and there, and you could be wondering to say, why these guys, like, these are the players that we say they are currently the best team. Is it that maybe our league is just, maybe they seem to be best because they are playing against probably players from the league that are probably at the same level as theirs, and when they go probably face other players maybe from the other leagues who you can say maybe they are currently slightly what word can I use? Maybe they are slightly maybe in terms of performance, maybe they are slightly higher than the performance that they have in the Zambian Super League, or what is happening. So I think it was quite disappointing, but like I mentioned, I hope the coach probably tried to note some two players. I think for me, starting Joshua Mutale on the bench was probably I don't know why, because that is a player I think who was exceptional during the season, yes. And you could even see, I think bring that energy into the Zambian team. And the coaches, like we mentioned, even just the team selection itself, I think was pathetic. I hope we'll do something.
Very quickly, what changes would you like to see the coach making in the next game at Kosafa, just to salvage something out of that? It will be quite embarrassing as defending champions to be kicked out
in the group stage.
in the very, very group stages. I saw Albert Kangwanda come in, we saw Abraham Siankombo, we saw Joshua Mtwale being put in, and Matthews Chabala in that particular order. And they made quite a couple of runs that were very, very impressive. But for me, I had an issue when you have in the same team Abraham Siankombo was left-footed, Albert Kangwanda left-footed, and they are attacking. I was like, what is the coach thinking in this space?
They end up playing too narrow because they just want to occupy basically the same space.
I thought I was the only one who was seeing something wrong.
So I think it was a change which I think it also worried me. I also questioned the tactical approach by Moses Ichone. We had Andrew Piri, top scoring Zambian player in the league, on the bench, and we were chasing for a goal. I think
and you keep him on the bench.
It was a disappointing. We could have probably gone for a situation where we go too up top with Andrew Piri, because I think Luambo Moyela is one of those players. I think he didn't have the waste of games. He was fighting. He had to fight for everything. Yeah, he had to fight for everything. So I think if we had brought in Andrew Piri at that point to just give him the confidence and help, probably we could have gotten the goal. If I look at, we were talking about Kapumbu, probably the armband has given me a lot of pressure. Because that's not the Kapumbu we know. He was not shouting, he was not putting the two midfielders in front of him in Mulambia and Python Kwaitana in where to press, when not to press. There was no clear communication there, what they need to do, whether Kelvin Muanga and the young Mashataki should tuck in. There was no communication. So I think changes need to be made in midfield. We need to start Joshua Mtale in this game. We cannot mess it up from here. I think even Mulambe had a poor game by his standards. From what I've seen, what he does in the league, that was a very, very poor game. Probably you might bring in John Kosa, who is a box-to-box midfielder. He will try and cover a lot of ground, because that's why we're losing a lot of balls in central midfield with Budo Mutale. Golden Mashata, I think he wanted to be brave, but his end product was very, very poor. So the coaches will need just to sit the boy down, what he needs to do when he gets into the final third, what passes he needs to make. I think going forward, probably start Andrew Piri ahead of Luambo Moyeli for a change, because Andrew Piri, he finished the season on a very high. He has got a lot of confidence compared to Luambo Moyeli. Moyeli had scored 11 goals. Then he went on a very, very long run without scoring goals. So his confidence, confidence is a little bit low. So we need to try and change it. At the heart of defense, we do not have options, because we do not have the same one. Probably, if probably the coach can be a little bit braver, do what George Rwandamina does at Zesco United, pick up Umba as a centre back, because he's done that at Zesco United.
Even at Zanaco, he did that a couple of times.
Yeah,
it was brilliant.
You would see, he probably will bring that calmness in defense. Let's play Kapumbu as a centre back, and then bring John Kosam as our holding midfielder. Probably that can make a bit of change.
A big congratulations to the Flames of Malawi for beating Zambia right on their Independence Day. It was a good present to the people of Malawi from their national team as they beat Zambia.
Our 11th province.
Our 11th province, right in the heart of Chipata, Mchinji border. All of them came from Mchinji. And probably a big congratulations to the entire people of Malawi for beating Zambia by a lone goal to 0. We'll take a very, very short break, and on the other side, we'll come and look at what is happening in the world of football across the country of Zambia.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those who have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
I'm given Singuruma. Continue watching Off the Pitch on Camnet TV every Saturday.
A very, very big welcome back to the show, and now we are shifting our focus to probably let's look at the teams that qualified to the National League, and we saw National Assembly coming back, we saw Mpulungu Youth, Young Prisons, very, very exciting games that we watched at Nationalist Stadium and Edwin Imboela Stadium. A very, very big congratulations to the team that qualified to the National League, and we hope to see and hope that National Assembly, very big congratulations to them. Let's not take anything away from them, Augustine. They dropped last season into the provincial league, and within one season they assembled a team of veterans. I was so surprised to go and watch
veterans.
Those Macha, Jimmy Chisenga, Judge Mkandawire. I was like, wow, okay.
We would be surprised if you see some more next season. And then on the bench there was the former Nkwazi Football Club goalkeeper Kalava Izichkwanda, that with the young goalkeeper who was I think Makasa Kalava. I think if you are, I think a big congratulations to National Assembly and the entire team. I've got two boys in that team who is Musa Chewe and Patrick Chipeta. Patrick Chipeta was one of their instrumental players during these playoffs. He scored some beautiful goals. He scored the first goal against Ron United on the final day when they just needed a draw to qualify for the National League. I think this is a boy that has come through Airport Warriors. He's grown through, and he's now at National Assembly. Now will be playing the National League. The Koi Maguero, I think he's versatile. He plays with lots of energy. And Musa Chewe is another one who is very calm on the ball, defensive midfielder, very, very intelligent in possession. And congratulations to National Assembly. I think one disappointing team was River Plate. I felt River Plate only needed a point on the final day.
I felt Ron United.
Yeah, equally felt Ron United. Because the expectations from the people from the Copper Belt, I think, was just too high. And I think the fact that most of the teams that come from the Copper Belt, when they come to play at the playoffs, they usually win promotion. And then I think Ron United became the first. Yeah, you've had Jumulo and Mutondo who have, I think, done extremely well. But then Ron United was, I think, the first.
But if you look at the group, I think that was a group of death. If we have to be honest, there was River Plate, there was Ron United, then there was National Assembly, Young Prisons, I think that was the toughest group at the playoffs. So if probably Ron United or River Plate would have
on the other side,
they would have qualified. Yeah, but true. I think hats off to people from Chipata.
8
points, 8 points without losing a game. And still fail to qualify to the National League. I think
that's the importance of scoring a lot of goals when you have a chance to score goals. Make sure that you score a lot of goals, because look at what happened to Chipata United. Probably right now they are feeling hard done because, like you mentioned, in that group there were 3 teams all finishing on 8 points. But then it now came to the final day, and then the goal difference had
in fact, the young lads of Burungu only managed to score the most important goal to make a difference
on the final day.
Yes, because if that game ended 2-1, then Chipata United, and I think Chipata United celebrated prematurely even before the whole thing ended. You could see even the coach. I think the time I had an interview with him, he was very confident to say, "No, when we go back, we are going to assemble Shanshan so that we compete favorably in the National League." But then at the final day, I think.
I think one bad thing, Mr. Scombe, about this playoff is that Chipata United on the final day, it was not in their hands because they couldn't do nothing about that. They were just hoping. Absolutely. They were just hoping. And I think the Football Association of Zambia would need to take these playoffs very seriously. And I feel it's not good enough to have 5 days playing. Yeah, I think it's not good for the players. You cannot have just 5 days and then you are done with the playoffs. I think we've got enough resources and we could look for sponsorship. Have these games be played probably in 2 weeks and have probably Nkoloma Stadium, Woodland Stadium, Sunset Stadium as the venues for these playoffs. You've seen they've attracted very, very huge crowds which went to Nationalist and Edwin. People want to see the next big thing from these playoffs, and I think we just need to try and do well next time around. And National League next season, Mpulungu Harbour and Mpulungu Youth, a derby.
That will be a derby.
What a big derby at is it at Moisen ground? Is it Moisen ground?
In Mpulungu.
In Mpulungu, yeah.
Very quickly, let's look at the teams that are now confirmed in the National League. We have Aguila Stars, Atletico Lusaka, Butekon, Chambishi City of Lusaka, Indeni Jumulo, Kafiwe Eagles, Kitwe United, Lumwana Radiance, Mpulungu Haba, Mpulungu Youth National Assembly, Changa Rangers, Quattro Kalumbila, Young Green Buffaloes, Young Prisons, and Zesco Malaiti making the last slot in the 18-team league that will be happening starting in the month of August. And we can only hope that the trips into Mpulungu, teams have to go to Mpulungu twice in one season. That distance gives us a lot of excitement as fans, even as we head into that particular league that will be starting in the month of August. Very quickly, August, let's shift our focus to the league opener, the Charity Shield that was launched, the Carrying Black Label Charity Shield, that will see the ABSA champions, Forest Rangers, taking on the league leaders, Power Dynamos Football Club.
Yeah, I think it's a very, very good game.
I said the league leaders, the league
winners, the champions.
The champions.
So I think you see, Mr. Scombe, what we've done with this Carrying Black Label this year is that it will be the fans that will pick the starting 11. Like it was done in South Africa.
Yeah.
It's the fans that will be in control of this game. Fans will pick the starting 11, and then fans will substitute the first players that will be substituted on the day. I think it's going to be interesting. I would urge everyone out there to participate. Pick your best 11 for Forest Rangers, pick your best 11 for Power Dynamos. It's a fans tournament. I think there's not much at stake. It's just a pre-season game. There's nothing. It's just a game which is probably decorated, and the trophy is somewhere in Charleston. That's what I think we saw Forest Rangers what they did. I think this is a club. If they could have gone empty-handed, it would have been very, very harsh on Forest Rangers. Because you remember, Mr. Scombe, the start of the first half of the season, we thought they were going to go toe-to-toe with Power Dynamos for the league title. But the injury to Luwambo Moyele and a couple of key players slowed down Forest Rangers. But eventually they went on and beat Musa, the young Musa. I think Musa would have loved to win this tournament and use that money probably for continental football, but it wasn't to be. Power Dynamos, they finished the season very poorly at Nkoloma Stadium in Charleston. Again, in Charleston. In Charleston, yes.
In Charleston.
The emphasis on
yes, because it's the only game where Lawrence Strumus conceded five.
Yeah.
The entire season, because Power Dynamos were going into that game.
So in other words, you are telling me that Lawrence tried against Malawi by just conceding one. In Charleston,
in Charleston 5. The entire year, 5 in Charleston. So if you look at Mr. Scombe, this is the Power Dynamos team which had conceded 14 goals going into the last game. So defensively, they were very, very good. And probably if they build on that going into next season, they may have a chance in continental football. And this charity should
and one of the players who made sure that they only conceded 14 scored a beautiful one goal against the Flames of Malawi.
More comment about that.
Very quickly, gentlemen, let's look at our very own Collins Besuma being given that strikers coaching role at Sekukune United, where Larry Wadia is also applying his trade there. A very big congratulations to our own, and we only hope that we'll see more of Zambian players being exposed at that level of football, knowing that the coaches have a say now. We have our very own, that is probably one of the top coaches when it comes to the striking football, because he traveled to South Africa to Kaizer Chiefs and made a mark in that particular season. And we have seen Augustine Mlenga also taking a route to Chippa United after spending a season at Napsa Stars. Your views, gentlemen, on his move back to South Africa?
I think, I don't know how I can call it, but I hope, because he is a player who once played right there in South Africa, and he came back, now he has gone back there. So I hope he knows the reason why probably he failed the last time to tick in South Africa. That made him to come back here. And now that he has probably rekindled with his good performance, he has again gone back there. I hope he'll be able to work on those same things that made him probably to lose focus, because I think he just lost focus. He is a great player, but then there are just, I think, one or two things that he wasn't doing right discipline, a part of it probably should come in, and I hope he, even as we go back, those are the things that he'll be able to work on, so that he probably stays for a longer period of time, because there are very few players who have, I think, managed to stay there in South Africa. And I think you talk about, I think, Kenneth Mwene, you talk about Isaac Chansai and the likes, but I think most of our young talented players who have gone there, we talk about, I think, Deko Kamlenga is another good player who was playing good football in Zambia. He went there, couldn't take. You talk about Lazarus Kambode, you talk about Austin Moore, so you can mention them. But I think one thing that has made these players to fail to tick there, most of them, I think it's that it's discipline aspect of
That's
it.
all.
Yeah.
We saw Justin Chonga eating headlines for wrong reasons.
Yeah, so if you look at the way our people are being appreciated, also, I think this should be alarming to us. Look at Davis Peary, he's a goalkeeping coach in South Africa.
Absolutely.
Kennedy Mwene, Mamelodi Sundowns have identified potential in him and have kept him. Davis Inka also likewise is at Super Sport coaching the youth team. Why is it that others are seeing the good in our players
and we are not to see that?
Exactly. Collins Mbesuma was part of a team in South Africa. Now he's joined Sekekuna United, and I was speaking to Trezo Shubaba, former Red Arrows, and he said this guy is a very good guy. Immediately he went to into that dressing room where there's that feel good factor, and Rally Wale now feels welcome because he has got someone who understands him and probably will guide him through. And Augustine Mulenga, very, very good move for him. You remember when he came to Napsa Stars, he just signed a short contract. Probably his representatives were looking to find a move for him, and they have done that. He was released by Amazon because he got injured, and he felt that he wasn't treated rightly, and probably wanted to have a case with them. But credit must be given to him. He came to NAPSA, he was humble, he was working in hard enough. He needs to replicate that when he goes to South Africa.
Well, we saw how Coach Perry Mtapa managed the likes of Augustine Mlenga, because the time that he was coming into Zambia, there were serious rumors that he was going to join Zanaco Football Club, and NAPSA Stars just swept through and got him. And under Coach Perry Mtapa, he contributed quite immensely to the success of NAPSA Stars in the just ended soccer season. Getting back home, Augustine, Matthews Chavala, one of my best players that actually went in against the Flames of Malawi and did his part correctly after he was put on. It is rumored that he's heading to Zesco United Football Club.
Njanga Rangers' stance is that not for sale. That's what Njanga Rangers are saying. Chavala not for sale. The goalkeeper not for sale. But when
you look at the position of Njanga Rangers,
yeah, I think they are one of the most difficult clubs to deal with in the country. But they do produce a lot of good players, and Chavala probably will be a very, very good fit with regards if he moves to Zesco United. George Ndamina knows how to handle young players and produce them to be very, very good centre backs. Remember, Solomon Sakala at some point looked very, very decent under George Ndamina, but now I think he's lost his way. But Chavala, he can be a very, very good fit for Zesco United. They have got Nia, who has done very well at Zesco United. Yeah. If he can go out there and be paired with Chavala, he will learn one or two things at Zesco United. And Njanga Rangers was in the headlines again for releasing 9 players, and one of them was, one surprising was Logic Chingandu. He was one of their best players at the start of the season. Then there was that change of coaches. They brought in Agre Chiange playing a different brand of football. I think.
And again, towards the end of the season, they made some tactical changes on the bench.
And another probably who is on the move is Pedro Miguel. He might be headed to Trident or Zanaco, because they are all in for his signature. It's going to be interesting to see how they transfer.
That's one of the players that is gaining weight, a lot of weight actually, when you ask me. And he probably needs that game time to make sure that he's managing his weight even as we get into the next season. Gentlemen, even as we come to the end of the show, let's look at a summarized discussion of how the Copa Queens will head into the World Cup. Probably we'll also look at the game against the Seychelles. Just in a very, very quick summary, I'll start with you, Augustine.
I think Copa Queens, we went to Europe for camp. We played 3 games, Germany, Switzerland, and Ireland. We scored 8 and conceded 8, so we go with a 0-goal difference from the 3 games that we played. That's an indication of where we need to work. We've scored 8 goals, we cannot be shipping in 8. We need to try and rectify our defensive priorities going into the World Cup. And I believe, like Mo had said, that was a perfect ending of our tour of Europe on a high, and we hope for the best going to the World Cup. The guys who are playing in the COSAFA, all they need to do is start strong. I think we started very, very low against Malawi, and we couldn't pick up from there. They need to start strong against Comoros and the remaining games to try and see that we defend this trophy.
More, your closing remarks on the games?
Yeah, I think the Copa Queens made us proud. Like my colleague has said here, I think out of the so many games, 3 games that we played, I think at least we managed to end on a high, beating a team that is ranked second, that is Germany. I think that should just boost the confidence of the ladies going into the World Cup. And I hope, even as we go into the World Cup, I think let's just build on where we have left off, so that even as we go there, probably we'll be able to compete favorably and not just be mere participants, but of course go there as a team that wants to win the trophy at the end of the day. Otherwise, we wish them all the very best, and of course we wish all the African representatives as well all the very best heading into the World Cup, because probably I would love to see an African team winning the World Cup, because I think Germany, USA, and of course England have dominated that trophy for quite some time now.
Augustine, say bye to the viewers.
A big thanks to the entire production team for making this possible, and a big thanks to all our viewers out there for tuning in, and it's been an interesting show, and we look forward to having a weekend of sport. There's a very big tournament in Kamanga. There's a final tomorrow being played between K-Stars and KK11 and Zanaco, a team called Zanaco in Kamanga, playing off-season tournament. I think you should head there and see talent.
More, your closing remarks very quickly.
I think it's been exceptional. It's been great. Many thanks to you guys for making this show, I think, interesting. So we look forward to the next show next week. Thank you.
Very brilliant, and a very big congratulations once again as we close the show to the Flames of Malawi for beating Zambia. And for me, my message to the Zambia national soccer team in South Africa, where they are playing in the COSAFA tournament, is remain focused, make the country proud, and remember, wearing that shade, that badge on your chest symbolizes a lot of responsibility that you carry to make the fans back home happy. To the Copa Queens, Coach Bruce Mwape, and the entire technical bench and the players, we wish you nothing but the very best, even as you head into the World Cup on a high after beating the second-ranked team in women's football in Germany by 3-2. From me, Rapson, I've been your host this morning, and hoping to see you next week. For now, keep watching Camnet TV, because Camnet is not just another channel. For now, see you next weekend.